Hello everyone, welcome to the next session on SAP ABAP on HANA training. In the last episode, we discussed about coding open item analysis scenario using ABAP programming technique. So we saw plain vanilla case where an unexperienced ABAP developer codes it and then a little bit experienced developer who has coded the scenario using aggregation functions and group by clause. In today's class, we will go now deep down to our HANA database and try to build this complete open item analysis scenario at the HANA DB level. So we will first introduce and talk about the information modeling inside of SAP HANA. What is it all about? Why do we do that? And how can it helps us to be able to achieve code to data paradigm? Just one quick update from my side to all of you. The test data, I got a couple of complaints from many of you regarding test data in order and order item table. It was not proper. I had corrected all the issues, including the buyer guide issue, which about 2 minutes ago I got a call from Udit as well. So all of that is fixed, and now you can go ahead and server is ready for you to look at the test data in the system in EPM data tables. If there is any discrepancies you find, just do let me know. I hope to my best knowledge, everything is up to date inside of server. So just to quickly show you over here on the system UI, we just connected to SAP HANA system. So I go into the remote desktop. So remember guys, remote desktop is what you guys should be using to be able to work with the system. So that's our remote desktop, and now what you can see here is the detail about this, and you can see that okay, maybe something this is not relevant for you at the moment. All the test data you can see it's coming up with a join between these tables. So now let me just quickly get started. So in the last class we also talked about connecting to our HANA system, to HANA Studio. We saw the different sections which are part of SAP HANA cockpit. Using HANA Studio you connect to SAP HANA system, and now you can see all your folders which shows you the different artifacts part of SAP HANA. So we know that catalog is a group of schema. Schema is a mandatory object. It includes all the runtime object definitions, which is what is used by your programs, reports, and everything. There's a schema dedicated to ABAP called SAP ABAP 1 here, which has all the tables of your ABAP system available inside of SAP HANA. Then we have provisioning, which is used by migration experts during provisioning process. Content section, once again, for SAP HANA developers, more relevant, so that they will be able to go ahead and develop artifacts. And this is what we will also look at as part of today's class, how to build information models inside of SAP HANA. And then finally the security for the administrators to be able to monitor the users, providing them the necessary authorizations to work with, providing developers the necessary authorization to work with the system. So we all have authorizations in our SAP HANA system inside our DP to be able to practice the exercises which we will be doing inside of system. So let's get started with introduction of data modeling. What exactly data modeling inside of SAP HANA, and why do we need data modeling to be used at all for any purpose? So what is information modeling or data modeling? Information or data modeling inside in SAP HANA, what exactly it is. So you might have heard people talking about I'm doing a modeling of data, I am doing data information modeling. What is that they do exactly? What is it required for, and why do we do it? So one very important thing, now you all know that we got to now push down our logic as much as possible inside of DB. Okay. No, Mr. James is yet to come. We are going to build the Mr. James scenario inside of HANA DB, and for that we will be using information modeling. And for that information modeling, you need to have an idea about how exactly it is done. So we will first learn information modeling, and then we will code the scenario using, or we will instead model the scenario which Mr. James need inside of SAP HANA system using information models. So some of you may already aware of information model, some of you may not be aware, and as you all know, I'm going to bring all of you at same level. Now those who think themselves that they are an expert or they know information model, believe me, Once I will teach you a couple of concepts, you will realize how valuable information it is. Your ex trainer or the trainer from where you would have learned, or you learned yourself the information modeling from somewhere, you wouldn't have got some of those information which I will be going to provide you in today's class. So let's get started. What is information modeling? Why it's needed? So now we are going deep into DB, guys. We are going to work with database layer because we know the power of SAP HANA. It can do things much faster rather than pushing down the logic or pushing down the calculation into the application layer. We would rather try to push down this logic and calculations in the HANA DB itself. So what is the purpose of information modeling? Why it's needed and what is it? So the data in an enterprise application system is stored in multiple database tables. We need to fire complex queries, and these queries does include joins, selections, conditions, subqueries, all of that it includes to pull the data from DB. And that's what exactly we did in our last session when we wanted to code OIA. We had actually gone into the ABAP reporting, and then we have written complex select query to join. However, that it was not that complex, but yes, sometimes it can go up to like 6 to 8 tables getting joined together, and then it's very very difficult to work with the system and these queries. So what are all the challenges with query based approach? The challenges are, first very thing, it's complex for business users to write such queries. It's difficult for them. They are not technical people like us. We are developers. We are more technical. We are from engineering background. Your business users or your functional experts are not good in technical skills. Second important point is they would end up, or sometimes even you as a developer, writing a query which is performance disaster. Yeah, it could so happen that you end up writing something which is a performance disaster. It takes hours and hours to run to produce the desired result, like we saw in OIA scenario. 54 millisecond it was taking, and then we reduced down to 14 milliseconds due to using aggregate function. And somebody who's not aware of such capabilities in ABAP would probably end up writing things which would create problems in the system. Yeah, queries also has limitations. Limitations as they do aggregations and use ready to use functions, but they cannot perform transformations like currency conversions. So we saw that additionally we have to write the code to do currency conversion in ABAP by looping over all the records and then finally converting every amount to the local currency. This is what was the challenge we face. Another disadvantage of query is they cannot, until unless you use a subquery, you cannot pass output of one query to input of another query. And if you want to manipulate the output generated from subquery and pass it to the input of another bigger query, that's not typically possible. So whatever the query gives, it goes as it is to the upper query of the subquery. Yeah, so there's no room for manipulation between two queries, but then you have to probably break it down into two queries and orchestrate via your application variables like internal tables. These are all the disadvantages of using queries or the technical languages. So what SAP have done, SAP introduced something called information models, starting with SAP HANA. Now the main purpose of information model is to hide the technicalities of select queries and make it easier for functional consultants with little technical know-how to produce desired data and outcomes, right? By joining multiple tables. So there is no SQL knowledge required by them. It's all generated at runtime. So what you do is you just create your relations. So you're going to have all the tables. So what you're going to do is you're going to just drag and drop quite easily all the tables which you would need to be part of a relation. And then you just quickly, using a graphical editor, you can quickly connect your tables pretty easily. And once this connection is done, you can say store this model, and that gets stored as a model in the DB. And when you say execute this model, the system would produce the necessary SQL statement and the joins to be able to run this. So SQL statements like join, subquery, everything is produced by system in an optimized way, and that's not your duty. The complete complexity behind SQL is hidden in the system. It's not what you just see is a graphical model of your data. Yeah, and that's what somebody can easily understand. Okay, so what is the exact purpose of information model then? The following are the purpose and application and usage of information model. So what is it all about? So it is used to convert the linear structure to a multi-dimensional structure without technical SQL. So it can be used to convert a linear structure to a multi-dimensional structure without technical knowledge of SQL, right? That's the biggest advantage of using the information modeling. So structure, knowledge, yeah. So that's what exactly it is used for. The second advantage, it is used to pull the data, and the data can be pulled now in business understandable format. So data can be fetched in business understandable format. That's the beauty of information model. Yeah, so that's the beauty of information model. The another thing, complete logic to read the data is done at the DB level. Hence you can leverage the power of SAP HANA. So the logic is built, or the model execution is happens within the DB layer. There is no execution in the application layer above here. It's all natively inside of SAP HANA. So it can leverage the power of SAP HANA. Next, hence information models, it helps you to reduce the amount of data transfer from database to application layer. So as a result, it reduces the amount of data transfer to application layer, and only the final result is sent to DB. Okay guys, that's what is being sent to DB. Now complex transformations like currency conversion can be also done within the DB. Okay, this is the beauty of using information model. Now what do you mean by transforming a linear structure to a multi-dimensional structure? We will understand that. So what is a multi-dimensional structure? Your table is one single table. When you look at, it's a linear structure, it has certain columns. Now if I want to get different perspective of my data, okay, which I will be explaining next, this concept a multi-dimensional structure, what is it all about, then you have to create a multi-dimensional structure. It's not possible to get a view, a perspective of different data by just using one single table. You got to join multiple tables, and that becomes a multi-dimensional structure. So a single table getting participated into a complex multi-table joins becomes the final, you know final multi-dimensional structure. So what are all the types of information model? Another interview question. What are all the types of information models inside of SAP HANA? Now we are talking in terms of exactly in terms of HANA. What are all the different varieties of these information models we have inside of SAP HANA? The first one is attribute view. Then comes is analytical view. Next is the calculation view. And then finally comes is decision table. These are all the four types of information models which are part of SAP HANA. SAP HANA offers us these four variety of information models to be used from. Then you say, Anubha, what's the purpose of each one of them? Why there are so many? What is the purpose? They each has its own purpose. Now, for that purpose to understand, we need to quickly look into the categories of data. Okay, what are the different categories of data inside of a normal SAP system is there? So let's talk about what are all the different categories of data in an SAP system is. So what are all the types of data in an SAP system? So anybody, what all the types of data you would have heard in your life in as an ABAPA working inside of an SAP system? So I would first start with, yeah, good answer, master data. What else? Transaction data, very good. What else? What else do you think? I would say the first type of data is org data, organization data. This data is all about your organization structure, like company code, credit control area, you know, distribution channel, sales area, SLA. You have then your sales organization, your purchase organization, your plants, yeah. So all these are your organization data in a system. It doesn't change so frequently, it doesn't even change. Okay, it, or just in case if you want to change, you actually need multi-level approval for changing this. This is set up during initial phase of your uh, initial phase of your implementation. This is also known to be, some part of it is known to be configuration data. Okay, configuration data for applications, I would say. Then there is another type of data called configuration data, truly. Okay, your configuration data is actually technical, it's for the basis. Okay, that is to make the system run, like how many work processes you would like to run, how many background jobs you can schedule in a day. These are all the configuration data that's purely technical for basis purpose. Looking at the business data, if I'm talking about, then we have only three categories. So this is different, actually. This is a different category. So here now then comes is the master data. Master data is a data which doesn't change so often. Actually, this even doesn't change. Actually, this one doesn't change so often, and this data is used to create transaction data. Example, material. If you want to create a sales order, you need material. Example, your ledger account information. So your ledger account name. So I want to transfer a salary to your account. I would need the master data. I would need to know which is the account in which I need to make the payment. So your account number is your is a master data for me. Yeah. Employee ID, employee records, personal records. All this is your master data, which doesn't change so often. Like your employee ID in a company doesn't change so often. Like salary of an employee doesn't change so often. So that all the complete record of an employee is master data. Employees, business partner, yeah, your product, all this is master data category, doesn't change so often. Yeah. Then comes is transaction data. Transaction data is tend to change so fast or created fast in system, or I would say frequently changes. So it gets created so frequently, it gets changed so frequently, created so frequently in the system. It usage the master data, example your sales orders, your invoices, your billing, your you know day-to-day transaction, purchase orders. Yeah, all these are your transactional data. Now, when it comes to creating a data model, fetching the data, you would probably want to combine tables which belongs to different data categories and then pull this data out of the system. But it's not so straightforward because technically the database stores each variety of data in different sections inside the database. Have you ever created a DB table? There is something called data category class. Okay, so when you create a database table, there is a special thing called data category class in the system. So let me just quickly show you where exactly it is. So if I go to the system, you would find that there is a data category class in the system. So I go here and I just show you any of the table. So you would find that there is one delivery class which tells about what type of data it is, and when you go to technical settings, you would see there is another class. So delivery class controls the data behavior during transport, update, upgrade of the system or system client copy. Okay, that's what delivery class controls. However, there is another data category of data class. You see what type of data it is it a transaction data or a master data or a org data? You see org data, transaction data and master data. So the system stores this data based on its based on its capability of getting changed so frequently or seldomly inside different areas in database. So when you want to now join the tables which are having master data, transaction data, it would now take some time for system to be able to pull this information because they are stored in different physical areas in the database. Yeah, making sense? Why do we give this? Because system has to now organize all the data which is getting changed so frequently, then it has to sit very close to CPU, very close to system, and it should be given more power because you would be having frequent read write operations on such data. However, master data category is less frequently changed, so less power should be given. And then org data very seldom changes, in fact no changes over a long period of time. So that's the data which doesn't get modified so frequently. Why do you need to spend more time and power on such data to be stored in system, right? To be stored in system area where processing power is high. Yeah, so that gives a kind of grouping of data based on the way you modify, or the speed by which you modify the data. And now it becomes a challenge for database if you just simply go and join these tables which are holding different set of data together and try to get the output. Your output will become slow because now database has to go to different areas and pull the data and apply a join, and then it has to calculate. So based on the category of data, the database has to now go ahead and do some operations to pull the data. Now to speed up the operation, SAP have introduced different variety of models here. So if your purpose is to read master data, which type of model you will use is the first one. So if your purpose is just to deal with master data, you would probably create an attribute view. You would not create an analytical view for that purpose, for master data purpose. And whenever there is a transaction data combined with the master data, then for this purpose where you have transaction combined with master, okay, this is the place which we actually use, where we use analytical views. And when you need more complex on fly operations, more and more complex operations, complex cases where you have two analytical view now, yeah, two combination of master and transaction data, then in that case you can go with calculation views. Now decision table are only used for planning scenarios where you just want to see by analyzing the system data, something like if I offer 10% discount on all my products, what do you think how much loss I will incur? Yeah, this kind of scenario. So for only for planning scenarios this is used. Mainly the information models under the category are these three information models, which are these three, are actually used for the purpose. Clear everybody? So why we have these different variety of categories, and the another reason why we have these categories is the way system process this. So if you remember in SAP HANA architecture, I have told you a couple of important point. Maybe if I just quickly switch back to that slide so that you can recall in our chapter where I've introduced SAP HANA architecture. So this was the architecture, and then we looked at index server. So you remember in index server we have SQL processor, we have OLAP engine, and we have a calculation engine. Yeah. So we have join engine, we have a SQL processor, you have a OLAP engine, and you have a calculation engine. So this is what we learned by far in the architecture of SAP HANA. So now if I bring back the same point here, this is your HANA index server. This includes something called a SQL processor, SQL optimizer. Yeah. And then you also had something called join engine inside of this. Then you had something called an OLAP engine, and then you have the calculation engine, which is also there. So these are all the different engines inside of SAP HANA box. So now what happens is, guys, based on the type of view you choose, different engines, these are sub engines inside of SAP HANA index server processes these. So all the attribute views are processed by your join engine. This has a power to join data faster, which is a master data category, because that's what you need. You want to now probably join product data with the product text table, and they both are under master data category. The join engine can perform this efficiently because it has capability to perform complex joins, inner joins, and variety of joins, which we will discuss much faster. So that's the reason why we create for master data and attribute view, and that is processed by the join engine because it can do the joins much faster. And usually when you want to model things with master data, you are actually going to do join most of the time. Yeah. However, in the other case also you will do join, but there's a different purpose. So the first thing is, when you want master data to be taken out, you would create a join, and that's processed by join engine. And that's the reason for master data we use the attribute view. Now when it comes to analytical view, your purpose is different. Your purpose is now to know how much sales I made for a particular product in last year, how many laptops were sold, how many mobile phones were sold. So now here the purpose is to calculate aggregates like summation, average, minimum, maximum, yeah, count. All these aggregations are mainly used. So here in this case the purpose is to calculate aggregates. The purpose is to perform a join between fact table, I would call it as a fact table, and dimension table. Now, what is fact, what is dimension? I'll explain you in a minute. The terms, these complicated terms which you would have heard as an ABAPer, but you wouldn't have understood till date. We will discuss that in detail in a minute. So that's the purpose of analytical view. And this is why the processing of analytical views are done by OLAP engine, which is good in calculating aggregates on transaction data. Yeah, that's the reason we use analytical view whenever there is a transaction data combined with master data. Analytical views are being used. So this is mainly the categories are there. However, the same thing you can achieve like what you can do with attribute view, you can do with calculation view. Almost same things. Sometimes there is a very thin line. As a developer you will see ki, Arey yaar, why did I use analytical view? This could have easily been done with attribute view also, right? This is what a very thin line you will observe when we will code things in the system and we'll model. But remember, it only depends on the type of data you are using and that the kind of operation you want. Based on that you will make the selection, because different engines are involved here to process this. Yeah. Then comes is the calculation views. Calculation views are processed by calculation engine. They are more complex tasks, like if I want to do union of result, I want to do intersection of the results. So all these things like calculation things, more complicated things which I want to perform, or I want to perform a join between two analytical views, wherein then there is a more complicated calculations involved. I go with calculation view, and that's processed by the calculation engine. There are two types of calculation views which we will discuss in our course. In fact, the complete OIA scenario I will be building. One is the calculation view using graphical, and another is the scripted calculation view. Okay, we will be coding our OIA scenario using all the different varieties of these views. Okay, so that's what we will be doing. So there you go. And finally, decision table. I'll just show you an example with decision table, not probably with OIA scenario. It's mainly for planning scenarios. We'll discuss about that in detail. Any questions on this slide about models? Anybody? Any questions on this slide? Now I understand there is a jargon which I used here called dimension and fact. That's something which I will be explaining now in detail. What do you mean by fact? What do you mean by dimension? That's what something we will be discussing in a minute. Other than that, anything else? How do you consume these models in ABAP? Very good question, Ravi. This is something we will learn in our upcoming days. When you build some models, how do you use the data out of these models in ABAP system? We have a concept of view proxies which we can use to be able to consume these models in ABAP system. We will do that. Can you explain decision table view again? Decision table is not a view. It's mainly used for planning scenarios. For example, your purpose is to say, if I give 5% discount on each product, how much loss I will make? Yeah. If I give a 5% discount to these selective customers in America region, then how much my cost will increase? Yeah. If I want to double my production, what is that I need to do? Can if I increase the number of workforce in my system, if I increase the number of workers in on machines, how much improvement it will give in my production? Yeah, these kind of planning scenarios we use decision table. Okay, we'll discuss, we'll do it in the system. That time it will be more clear to you, so don't worry about that. We'll do one scenario for decision table as well. These are all reusable. Yes, they are all reusable. You can also, for example, create an attribute view and reuse it in an analytical view. I will show that reuse in the system when we will create something. Okay, we'll use scripting also. Yes, we will use scripting. I will teach you SQL scripting in this course. Nobody will teach you SQL scripting in ABAP on HANA. I am the only trainer who will teach you. Even your HANA training, trust me, I have seen many HANA trainers. Ideally, they should have taught you SQL script in your HANA training, but they have not done it. They have not done their job. It's an open challenge. Nobody teaches SQL script. Nobody teaches SQL script. We will learn SQL script in this course. Don't worry about it, because there is a concept called ABAP Managed Data Procedure, AMDP, in ABAP, where SQL script is used heavily. And that's the reason, as an application developer, you must know SQL script. Okay. For scenario of two tables with aggregation and sum, do we need to use analytical view on HANA side? Yes, you should use analytical view for that purpose. However, you can also use your query. Again, guys, it is not mandatory that you go with a view approach. You got to see if you are not getting your desired performance of your scenario, then you got to go and try these different approaches which I'm teaching you in this course. So don't take it as a golden rule that nahi bhaiya main to select query likhunga, yeah, I will just implement information model only and only that to be able to achieve better performance. You never know. It depends on scenario. You got to go to system and try these things up and see what is giving you the best out of performance in your scenario. My duty is to teach you all the techniques. It's your choice to apply which technique will give you best out of SAP HANA. Okay, that's what you got to look at yourself. Analytical and calculation view both deal with transaction data with measure. If we do not join calculation view, how the system will define which engine to use? If you use uh, calculation view, only the calculation engine will process this. Okay, this is what how it gets processed actually. So in that case it won't be processed by analytical engine, provided if you use an analytical view, then first that analytical view is processed by the OLAP engine. Whatever output it produces, that output goes to calculation engine, and then calculation engine does rest of the task which is intended inside your calculation view. For example, you are doing union of two analytical views. First, these two analytical views are processed by OLAP engine. Output of these two is then passed to the calculation engine, and then calculation engine does the union of that. Is that clear how exactly it is processed? So there is a inter engine engine communication also. That's why we all, our purpose, if we want improvement in performance, our purpose is to minimize also the communication between these engines. Okay, that should be our purpose. We should not try go and back and forth between these engines. Try to see, make a good choice which engine you want to use, or which view can be used for your modeling. In majority of the scenarios, guys, analytical view is best fit for any kind of processing. Okay, it's a general guidance. Analytical view I see is best fit for any kind of purposes, provided you have a transaction and master data. Usually that's the case which we have. Are these are all virtual views? Absolutely, views are always virtual. Views never store the table. That's the basics of database. Views are always virtual. They never store the data physically in the system. Okay, and once again I want to remind you yesterday's class. We These things what you see here, these are all design time objects. Ultimately, when you activate, it creates a runtime object which is a SQL view inside of SAP HANA. Okay, it all of these boils down to a SQL view, guys, inside of SAP HANA. When you activate them, they all create a SQL view behind the scenes inside of SAP HANA, which gets stored into your schema. Clear? I will be showing that in the system in a minute. If you allow me to proceed, let's go ahead and then look at these things in system. First, let's try to understand what is a dimension and a fact. A very big jargon for many of us as an ABAPer. We don't understand what is a dimension, what is a fact. You see a lot of HANA developers will keep on talking about it, but we don't understand. So let's come back and first talk about what exactly is a dimension. So what is a dimension? If you look at a company, what is exactly the company's assets? What is asset of a company? Anyone? What do you think is an asset of a company? What do you think is an asset of a company? Money. What else? Capital. Employees. Very good point. Employees is an asset. Business partners are asset of a company, right? Products are asset of a company. Some imagine today I'm giving training to you guys. My products, Anubhav's products, my company is offering training. So I have products like a BAP on HANA training. I have a product HANA Access training. You will not find these products under single hood. No trainer will teach you all these things with the same pattern of teaching anywhere else. So you would not even think of going some other trainers, because you'll see, अरे यार मेरे को HANA भी यहीं सीखने को मिल रहा है, ABAP भी is teaching, UI5 also is teaching, HANA Access also he knows, and teaching style is also good. Why would you go somewhere else? That's an asset. That's an asset which I created. So all these things are asset of a company. So asset of a company is like products, your employees, partners. The complete ecosystem is an asset, guys. So when you look at the surroundings of a company, if you put your company in the center, and then you put look at these assets of a company as other ecosystem, so you see these are all the assets of a company. Now if you see, these assets are circulated all in different dimensions, right? They're all surrounded. This is the ecosystem which company has built to do business in the market and make profit. So these are all the assets of a company, which company is actually built of. Yeah. So these are all the dimensions of a company. So typically dimension in a real time system, when you look at the dimension of a company, your assets of a company is a dimension. And which tables these dimensions are stored? Anybody? Dimensions. Now you look at the data, guys. Product, employee, partner, what are all they? They're all master data. So master data is what dimension is all about. Clear everybody, this term dimension is just a fancy term given to master data. All these assets are dimension, and all the company's master data is considered as dimension. Okay, it's considered as dimension. Clear everyone? So all your products, everything, employee, and all these things are your dimensions. Now, what is these dimension express? Anybody, what do you think these dimensions express? If you look at an employee, if you look at company code itself, okay, if you look at payroll, what are all the different properties which they exhibit? These dimension exhibit what are all the different properties which you think are the key performance indicators of these dimensions? What are all the KPI? We call it as KPI, key performance indicators. How do you check the health of these dimensions? So if you look at an employee, the key performance indicator of an employee salary. जिसका जितना बड़ा सैलरी उसका उतना वैल्यू कंपनी में, राइट? बोनस, राइट? A sales team, if you look at, higher the person sales representative makes sale, more value he has in the company, more bonus he get. How many number of hours the employees spend in the company? These are all the KPIs of a master data, right? These are all the KPIs which of a dimension, what we call it as. Clear everybody? Look at the company. What are all the KPIs of a company? Profit, first KPI. Sales, how much sales you have, how much revenue. When you look at financial results of a company in a stock market, their turnover very good. So these are all the different KPIs of a company. How much loss the company incurred last quarter, how much profit they made. So all these are the KPIs of a company. When you look at a company, these are all the different KPIs of a company, isn't it? Now, another thing, payroll. So when you look at payroll department of your company, which is actually an asset of your company, which is also master data, this also exhibits different KPIs like tax, yeah, hours spent per hour, how much salary you are making, right? In US we have hour based billing, right? Majority of the contractors who are working today in US, you all know that you have hour based billings. So that's what is a KPI. Kitna denge per घंटे का. Expenses, pay stub, these are all the KPIs of a payroll. When you look at CRM, what are all the KPIs? Complaints, how many complaints you got on a product, number of complaints, number of service requests. What is the productivity? How much hour you take to solve on an average to complete one issue, to close one customer complaint? Yeah, productivity. These are all the KPIs, guys. So similar to every single thing in the company, your business partner, your employee, your customers, your products, everything has a KPI, and that's what is represented as fact. So all the KPIs. What is so common about the KPI? Who will tell me? What do you think is common to indicate a KPI? What do you think is common to indicate a KPI? It's a number. It's a number, guys. It's a value. It's a valuable. A number आता है कुछ. You look at anything, any KPI. Don't you think it's a number? Do you think it's a string data? Or do you think it's a date data? Do you think it's a time data? It's a number actually. It's a number. Everything is a number. KPI is all about numbers, guys. It's a game of numbers. So any KPI in this world, when you look at, should be measurable, and they are numbers. Always numeric, guys. Okay. And so called measure. Clear everybody? What is a measure? Is that clear everybody? It's a KPI of your dimension. These are all different fancy terms generated out of software industry over years, which people are so familiar with. Okay, they don't want to explain and write KPI. Okay, Instead they want to call it measure. It's just a different perspective of looking at the same data. Data वही है, उसको देख अलग अलग हिसाब से रहे हैं. ठीक है? Clear everyone? What is a measure? If somebody asks you, will you be able to define the measure? It's a numeric value which indicates a KPI which is measurable for a dimension. A dimension is your master data, your ecosystem of a company. Clear everybody? What is a dimension and what is a measure? Now, another important point, measures are stored in fact tables. Remember, so tables where measure is stored is called fact table. So can anybody give me example of a fact table? What could be a fact table? Anybody? In our EPM data model, what do you think is a fact table? Sales data, perfect answer. Your sales data, sales order table is a fact table. What else? What do you think? Where do you think measure is stored? Do you think product is a measure? Is product is a measure? No. The data which talks about sales of a product is a measure. The data which talks about purchase of a product, purchase order table. Yes, revenue, very good. Your invoices, how many invoices you made, these are all the fact tables. They are actually a transaction data which exhibits KPIs of a mesh of a dimension. Is that clear, everyone? What is a measure? What is a fact table? What is a transaction data? What is a master data? What is a dimension? Is that clear, everybody? I hope you are all understood the concept of master data, transaction data, measure, as well as the dimension today. So when you look at now these models, analytical view, what is the purpose? Combining transaction data with master data. What do you mean? You're going to join fact with dimension. Is that clear? You're going to join fact with the dimension. Is that clear? You're going to join fact with the transaction, the dimension. Okay. So now let me quickly again show you an example in a practical world. Let's imagine there is a company, and if you quickly look at, this is the sales data of a company. So now if I just draw that data over here, this is sales data of a company. So where you have sales order ID, then you have amount, and then you have currency. This is the data we have it in the system for this company. Now, what exactly the sales order ID includes? So sales order ID includes is just a number 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And then let's put an amount value. So this sales order was sold at 1000, 2000, 4500, 8200, maybe 80, 90, 60. And then what currency this was sold? So let's say euro. This was sold in euro, this was sold in US dollar, this was sold in INR, this was sold in INR. Like this, you have your sales data. Now let's look at a dimension like product. Okay, so let's look at the product. So now if I just put here the product ID, you have to put the product name and you have to put the product category. Yeah. So if I just put again the product, so let's say 100, 200, product ID 300, 400, 500 is the product ID. And now if I just put the product name, so I will put, let's say Intel, or I would say Lenovo. 550 is a product category laptop. Then I put Lenovo. 450 is a product name, which is again a category of laptop. Then I'll put Canon D500. It's a DSLR category. And then I put Canon 1200 and DSLR. And then probably you put again some like Fairchild Incorporation, let's say RAM, Fairchild Incorporation, 1 terabyte of RAM, and this is part of category RAM. So these are all the products you have it. Now similarly, now if you also look at the data of sales representative who is making sale in your company, that's also a dimension. So maybe I just have 2 sales representatives, so just quickly remove this records and I just have sales representative employee ID, its name and its city, and then I will just put sales as 950, and then I can put name as Anubhav, and city is, let's say, Mumbai, and then I say 980 and say Shikha, and let's say Delhi. So this is the data what I have. Now this is a sales represented data. What do you think is this data is all about? Is this a measure or is this data is a dimension? What do you think? Anybody who will categorize sales representative data? What do you categorize it as, a dimension? Yes, very good. It's a dimension. Okay. What do you categorize the product data as? Is the product data is a fact? No, that's also a dimension. Yeah. This is an asset. These are all the asset of a company. Now, when you look at the sales data, what do you think is this data is of type? Sales data. It's a fact data category. Perfect answer, guys. So this is your sales data, which is fact data. Now, can you derive some outcome of this fact data, which is storing a measure as amount? Yes, you can. You can calculate. So if I ask you to calculate revenue, can you do that with sales data? Can you do that with sales data? Yes, you can just total it up. Your revenue will come. So just total. But guys, in an enterprise, it is not sufficient to stay into the competition if you are not ahead of your competitor. If you are not thinking loud, if you are building silos, then you are not going to be there in business for long run. You need to think multi-dimension. Okay, you cannot think in one dimension. You look at the sales data, you found out अच्छा इतना सेल हुआ, ठीक है चलो जाओ घर पे, right? You cannot survive with single dimension. You got to go to multi dimension. Yeah, now for your future planning, I have to now know how many products in a category sold the most. Okay, how many products in a particular category sold the most, which is highest selling laptop, right? You go to Amazon or eBay for shopping, don't you see best seller mobile phone, best seller सबसे top पे आता है वो, whichever is the best seller phone, it comes always on top, right? Because people are liking it, and accordingly company can plan their business. They know that market has a pull to build these products. Like Maruti Swift, it was an amazing car. they have they have sold this car, and they made so much of business, and that's why they improved the new sedan version of Maruti Swift as Swift Desire, because they created a boom in the industry. A product called Bajaj Pulsar, that was single product of that company, guys, which made a reason for survival of Bajaj in auto industry. Those who know, in India we had a very known automobile company, two wheeler automobile company. Have you heard about name of LML Vespa scooter, right? It was bankrupted. It was bankrupted. The share price from 890 rupees, it came to 2 rupees 30 paisa. Imagine what happened to investors and what happened to this company. It was bankrupted. And same Rape Bajaj was going. It was going in the same direction. Do you know the survival story of Bajaj? Bajaj Automobiles? Because of one single product, which is Bajaj Pulsar, it survived. If Bajaj wouldn't have come up with Bajaj Pulsar, the company would have been in same situation like LML Vespa or LML. Clear, everybody? By the way, this was the first company producing scooters in India. However, pioneers are no more exist in today's world. The companies who adapted to the changes do exist, but companies who were reluctant, they were not ready to change themselves, no more exist in industry. With this itself, you can realize, guys, how important your learning is for you. How important is your learning ABAP on HANA today's time it is for you. Your colleagues, your friends, they will not survive for long. Believe me, they will not survive. You took a good decision. You will overcome them. You're adapting to, you're sensing the need of market, and you're adapting yourself to the market accordingly. because you are doing, and you're taking that pain actually to do that, but your colleagues are not. When you meet your colleagues in cafeteria, you see them talking, अरे यार तू तो अबैब सीख रहा है, खाना सीख रहा है, मेरे को कुछ नहीं आता. They will keep cribbing like that forever until unless their survival is questioned, and that time will come soon. So be prepared for that time, and that time you will remember me. You will be more than happy, Anubhav. You saved us. Okay, so that's the point. Highest selling laptop, I want to know which is the most promising employee, right? जो अच्छा काम करता है उसको रखते हैं ना पैकेज बढ़ा के भी, चल ज्यादा पैकेज ले ले लेकिन छोड़ के नहीं जाना, right? Which is the most promising employee? I can increase your package but don't leave me, right? Happens many times in your team. Some person is showcasing their capability and saying, "अरे मैं तो जा रहा हूँ, I'm putting down paper." Manager say, "Okay, let's have one to one." They discuss and immediately salary was raised. Why? Because he's the most promising employee of the company. You need to keep them happy to make your business run. You can't just leave them. That's an asset of a company. And if that asset goes, sometimes I've seen because of two, three people leaving team, whole team collapsed. I've seen this in corporate guys. Some of the managers don't understand. They say, "Jata hai to jane do, I don't care." But they don't understand the risk. They don't assess the risk associated to that. क्या करोगे बाकी लोगों के साथ if you don't have such aggressive people in your team? You need good team. You need good people to run the team. Okay, so these are all the questions which I need. Can you get these question answered with this fact data? Can you get these questions answered with this fact data? Answer is no. What will you do? Magic happens when you combine the fact with dimension. A magic happens when you combine fact with dimension. Now, once this is done, guys, amazingly, you can produce these things for your company. You can produce value. That's the reason there is a need for combining the fact with dimension. And that when there is a need, when there is a will, there is something which comes up to save us, and that's your analytical view. That's the reason we have analytical view, because there was a need to combine master data with transaction data. There was a need to do more complex operations, and that's why there was a need to do calculation views. Clear, everyone? What you learning, you need to understand purpose of that learning. Once the purpose is clear, nobody can beat you. That's the purpose, guys. I hope those who already learned modeling from some other trainers, you would have surely seen some of these things was not covered, not explained the purpose of why things are like this in the system. Why are we doing what we're doing? That is important to understand. Then only you can be successful. Otherwise, करते रहो code, कुछ नहीं मिलेगा. You need to know the purpose, guys. Purpose is important. And once you have a purpose, then nobody can stop you. Okay, let's go ahead. So that's the reason. Now you know we need to combine the fact with dimension. And if you look at this, you have one fact, which is, let's say, sales. And now you want to combine this fact with other dimensions. For example, product. You want to combine it with sales representative. You want to combine this with your customers. Who bought the most, who is the most valuable customer for me, right? होता है ना सर, ये बहुत अच्छा customer है. I always keep my customers happy. People who buy 4 5 courses with me, they are my favorites, isn't it, right? No, that's not the case, but yes, it happens. Who is your most valuable customer, right? Right, that's also an important part. When you look at the sales and customer data, that's when you will know. Then sometimes you are also want to check time bound data. So time is also a dimension, guys, where you want to compare. I want to see during the month of Christmas or during the month of Thanksgiving days how many laptops I sold. Then there is a time dimension. You are looking at the time bound data. So what do you think this shape looks like as? Can you guess? It's your analytical ability to guess what type of shape do you think it looks like. What type of shape do you think it looks like? Which shape you call it as? What do you think? Don't you see it as a twinkle, twinkle, little star? How I wonder what you are. Exactly. This is called star schema, guys. This is what star schema is all about. Star schema is not about anything else. It's just about joining the fact table with dimension table. And when multiple dimension table comes along and joins with one fact table surrounded, that becomes a star schema. Is that clear, everybody? What is star schema in the system? These are all BW terms, business warehouse. These are all BW terms. Okay, this is called star schema. It's nothing but a join between fact table sitting in the center and joined with multiple dimensions around it is called star schema. Clear, everybody? So star schema, but don't think it's actually that schema what we have in HANA. That's a different concept. So don't misunderstand this. Don't mix up things. That schema is a different concept. It's a mandatory database object, and here it's actually, your star schema is a concept itself which says joining multiple tables with a fact table surrounded by it. Clear? Now, similar to this, you can have other star schemas, and these star schemas can also come together and get joined. That becomes a star join. A star join is a join between two star schemas. Clear, everyone? The basic terminology of BW. These are all basic terminology of BW, actually. So let's get started and create our dimensions first of all. So our dimension where is product, and maybe I want to create a dimension called customer. So I have product data circulated in two tables, product header table and product text table, where I have my product data. Similarly for customers, I have business partner table, and I also have the customer data into address data into customer address table, isn't it? So that's the data we have in the system. I'm going to first create two dimensions. So now anybody who will tell me what type of view you will create, use to create a dimension in the system? Anybody? Which type of view? Anybody? Which type of view? Attribute view. Now you understand the purpose, and you clearly understand why we are choosing attribute view, because it's a master data. Okay, it's a dimension, it's a master data. That's the reason we use attribute view. Let's get into SAP HANA system. Now remember, you got to transport your objects to another system, and that's when you use concept of package. So without package, you can't create an object in ABAP, neither in SAP HANA. So in SAP HANA, now you got to go create a package and add your objects inside of a package. When you activate your object inside of a package, it creates the corresponding runtime object inside of schema. Okay, we will see that also. So as I told you, these are all just big facades created like attribute view, analytical view. Ultimately everything boils down to a database view in this system. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to expand the content section, right click, and just create a new folder, new package I'm creating. Now the beauty of packages also provides a namespace. So tomorrow Udit is going to practice this, okay, or Karun is going to practice, and uh, Archana is going to practice, or Ruchi is going to practice. Okay, so you guys are going to practice views, creating views inside of SAP HANA. Now I put a view called attribute view product, and you also create a AT underscore product, and I also create a view called AT underscore product. What will happen? Will system allow you to create AT underscore product if I create AT underscore product here? Yeah, will you be able to create AT underscore product? The answer is yes. System will allow, guys. Okay. Ritu, system will allow you tomorrow or whenever you get time, when you're practicing Ritu, you can go and create a view with the name AT underscore product in the system. You know why? Reason is very simple. You will do it in your package. I do it in my package. When the view is getting activated, it puts the package name prefixed with the view name. So that's the way HANA system recognize the difference between your view and my view, because my view is in my package, your view is in your package, and package name becomes the namespace for your object. That's the another reason why you use package, not just transport, but also to provide a namespace for your objects inside the package. Clear, everybody? Is that clear, the concept? So in fact, you can do that. So let's first create a package. So I'm going to create a new package, and I'm going to name this package as, let's say, batch, and I'll just put it's the month of April is passing by, so let's put batch April, and that's my package name. You can also group sub packages, it's your choice. However, I'm just creating one package, main package, and just going to add everything inside that. So use same package name, no, but package name itself is unique, guys. So you can't create now tomorrow a package with batch April. That's something you can't do it. You got to probably create it with your name, guys. I can see people have created packages in this system with their own name, like you can see Anubhav, Amit. These are all people practicing, so they're creating with their own name. I would highly recommend and request you to not create multiple packages. Create one package per user, for your user, with your name, and put objects in sub packages if you want to group them again. Okay, so don't create multiple packages. It will create problem for you in the system in long run. There will be too many packages if we all start creating in this system, and then we all will get confused. So it's a recommendation from my side. However, system is all yours, you can do that, there's no harm in that, but recommendation is created with your name so you can remember, as well as you can refer it in the future, and nobody else will of course go and touch somebody else's package. So let's click on OK, and now you see a package would have got created, batch apper. And where is it? Here it is. You see it's empty. When expand, nothing is there. I'm going to create an attribute view, so right click, new, and you see here an attribute view we're going to create, and I'm just going to name this view as attribute view product. It's an attribute view. Click on finish, and now you see it has added me a nice graphical view, graphical editor to model. As I told you, you don't need to learn SQL programming for creating models. You can do it pretty easily without any SQL know-how using a graphical view. So any attribute view, when you create, there are two things which you have to put as part of an attribute view. The very first thing when you create an attribute view is to be putting the data foundation. So just give me a second. So what, when you create an attribute view, the very first thing is your data foundation, and then on top you have semantics. Okay, now what is data foundation? Data foundation section will include all the tables which are going to participate into the join. Remember, all your tables has to belong to one master data group. Like product, if you're creating, then product, price table product, quantity table product, text table, all that you got to put related to product. Don't put any fact table, remember. Okay, don't put a fact table, you're creating a dimension actually. So that's the reason you will be doing that. Okay, so now what we will do is, what is our use case is to create a product view. Okay, product dimension view, that's our use case. So I'm going to bring all my DB tables to part of this data foundation, and quickly drag and drop and connect these tables with their foreign key relationships. And then I just expose the columns which I want to show to the user as an output, as an output columns, and activate the view. Of course, typically when you create an attribute view, remember one important thing: every attribute output of dimension has to have one mandatory key. Clear? So you should have one mandatory key field to be categorized when you're creating such an attribute. That will be the key field for that attribute. So let's go ahead and do that. So I come back, and now I switch above to the catalog section where my tables are there. Anybody, which schema your ABAP related tables are present? Which schema do you think your ABAP tables are present? Anybody, which schema do you think? It's in SAP ABAP 1 schema. Perfect answer. There was one question from Ritu, I missed it. How do we add systems in the View Explorer? And do we have naming convention for the views? Yes, naming convention for view, for attribute view, it starts with AT. Analytical view starts with AN, and calculation view starts with CV. Okay, that's a naming convention we use, and decision table starts with DT. So let me put that. Attribute view starts with AT. This is something which SAP also follows. So I just learned this something from SAP by looking at standard SAP views. Calculation views, it starts with CV. and decision tables starts with dt underscore. Clear? This is the naming convention what we use. Okay. Systems view may whatever you need, it should be there in your ABAPs in your RDP. If it is not there, just drop me an email with a screenshot. I will get it arranged. Okay. Ideally, this should have already be there in the systems view of SAP HANA box, which I gave you the access for. How we are getting about tables, we using SLT? No, not required. This is an ABAP on HANA system. Your ABAP or installation, when it was done, HANA installation was also done. So all the data and the tables are already there in SAP ABAP 1 schema. So just expand this schema. I already applied a filter on tables with SNWD underscore, so that to see all the tables related to my EPM data model. Okay. And now I'm just going to drag and drop the tables which I need. So I want SNWD the product table, and I want SNWD texts table, which has the product text information. Language specific text of product is there in this table. So both the tables I drag and drop. And now you see, guys, I can also double click here to maximize this view. Now you can see this is your two tables in the system. Okay. So Udit, just send me a screenshot. I'll get it corrected, man. Okay. Don't worry. You will get the access. Okay, just the way I am able to see, you will be able to work with it. So don't worry, just send me the screenshot. I will work upon it. Now, what you're going to do, you're going to join these two tables. So join is pretty simple. Earlier, you used to write inner join and all that, not required, just drag and drop. So first join the client column, very important. You are a DB level, guys. So here your data is cross client. So make sure that you must join the client columns. And now I'm going to join the node key of product table with the parent key of text table. And you all know with the basic ABAP concept, what is a text table? It has the same key field plus an additional language field called express type, which stores language specific texts of a data. Clear? That's what exactly text table does. So the join between these two tables has to be of what type? It should be a text join. So you can see here now in SAP HANA, when I double click on the line, you can see the join type and you can choose from join types. Okay, now let's try to go to PPT again and try and understand what types of joins we have in SAP HANA. Anybody, can you tell me the types of join? Just tell me count, don't tell me all names. Just tell me how many types of joins we have in SAP HANA. Who will tell me? Don't tell me all this, just tell me the count. What do you think? How many of you already? I'm sure there are many of you who have taken the HANA training earlier somewhere, and you know there are these join types. So one person is saying 8 to 9 join, Ritu is saying 4, Archana saying 4, Ravi saying 6. There are total 8 types of joins, guys, in HANA. What are all those? The first type of join is referential join. Okay, referential join. Am I writing spelling correct? No. Yes, that's a referential join. Second is inner join. Third is text join. Left outer join. Right outer join. Temporal join. Spatial join. Star join. हो गए क्या 8? Yes. 8 types of joins. Very important interview question, guys. 8 types of joins we have inside of SAP HANA. Very important interview question. What is each type of join it is? Let's skip the first one. Let's talk with the second one. Inner join, we all know when we want to get the data from both the tables, which is the common data existing both the tables, we go with inner join. So it's a join which evaluates data from both tables with matching criteria. Right, so join condition, whatever records are matching, it provides. So X and Y, there are two tables. Whatever column you connected in the join condition, That column has to exactly match 1 by 1 record, or 1 to n or n to n, whatever relationship you've given. Accordingly it will fetch the data. What is text join? Text join is mainly used for join between text table and master table. So whenever you have a text table participating into join, usually the purpose is to retrieve the language specific text from the text table. In that case you will go with text join, guys. So usually it is used to retrieve the text data from the text table. So there is a language column always involved, hence you will go with special type of join called text join. And that's what in this case we will go with a text join, and specifying a language field, language column name of the text table. Left outer join, what it does: left outer join performs an inner join, plus also gets the records of left table corresponding to which right table doesn't have record. Example example for example, I have two tables. Okay, I have two tables. So let's take two tables. Now the first table contains the information of orders, second table contains information of invoices. Now when I do an inner join, what do you think the inner join will give me? Anybody? What do you think between these two table inner join will give me? It gives you the records of invoices for which order exists, which means it only and only give you the order information for which invoice was created, right? For which invoice was created. It could so happen there are orders for which invoice is not yet done. What cases it could so happen? That for a product, for an order, there is no invoice created yet. Anybody? What, in which case it will happen for an order there is no invoice created yet? Anybody? Anyone? When the order is out of stock. Fair, perfect answer. Ritu is right. So she has catched it. So this is what I also told you in OIA scenario. It could so happen that there is an order for which there is no invoice yet created, right? It's just you received an order, you don't have out items in stock. How can you invoice? How can you bill the customer? Customer will not pay you actually, and you don't know the price of the product yet because you have to purchase it from somewhere else to fill in the stock, right? So in that case you will have orders for which invoices are not there. But will inner join be able to tell you those orders? Will inner join be able to tell you those orders for which invoice is not created when you do an inner join? No, inner join will not do that. Inner join will only, if you apply, only going to get you the orders for which invoices are done. However, my requirement is to get the orders where invoices are done. Also, perform a join and make sure even the invoice is not done, you get and print the order on the UI. Okay, that's what I want. In that case, go with the left outer join. Now do you see order table is on left hand side or right hand side? Anybody? Is order table on left hand side or right hand side? Left side, right? That's the reason I'm using left outer join. If the order table would have on the right hand side, then I would have done a right outer join for same output. So it's just like outer join, but if the table position is on right, use with the right outer join. Just a perspective of data where you are looking into the tables. Next, temporal join. Temporal join in SAP HANA is used to join tables with time data. Sometimes there is a need that there is an order and I want to now read the data from order table where my order was created and modified between January to March. So I'm giving a range here. But actually in your target table, in your timetable, you will not have a range as such to compare. So your range is actually not in the single record, but it is there in multiple records. So like first month, second month, third month. So it's actually a record actually. So you got to join multiple records of this table with multiple records of another table with the time data. So this is especially only and only with time data, guys. That's the reason you go with temporal join. When you want to join your data with the time data, you go with temporal join. Next is spatial join. This is used for coordinates, geospatial analysis. I remember one of the project I worked with, and they were actually printing Bermuda Triangle. They were printing Bermuda Triangle on a map, and this calculation was getting done on all the world's most popular hazardous sites on entire world's map. So there is something called Bermuda Triangle, or there is something called high electromagnetic region, where your planes, if it enters, then it is lost. Some places where you have high wind flow, some places where you have big waves, tsunami type of wave all the time, and then there is a risk to ply a boat into the water. So all these things are like spatial analysis. So SAP HANA is also built for geospatial analysis. So when you want to join coordinates data, special type of join use called spatial join. We are not going to look at temporal and spatial join in our course, because that's something which we will not be doing. I gave an example of Bermuda Triangle. Bermuda Triangle is actually a triangle. It's a place where you might have seen DuckTales in your childhood. So there was a lot of seasons on in DuckTales, in that Baloo's plane thing about Bermuda Triangle. So Bermuda Triangle is actually three coordinate position. Okay, and that's a high electromagnetic range. So nobody till date knows what is there so special in this area. When a plane goes in this area, it never comes out, and nobody knows where does it go. Yeah, so that's a storyline. So that's something a Bermuda Triangle is all about. It's a special area on earth, and such kind of things I want to do using HANA. I want to draw a Bermuda Triangle. I want to calculate, length between two sites, coordinate position one and two. I want to calculate the kilometers or miles between two of these things, or I want to calculate the area of Bermuda Triangle. Then I would probably need geospatial analysis of SAP HANA by joining some tables with their coordinates. Okay, so in that case, spatial join is being used. We will again not look at, I have not worked with spatial joins much. I've seen one project where they were actually drawing Bermuda Triangle on the map using SAP HANA, and that's where they were using some spatial joins, rarely used in cases, not so frequently used. And then comes a star join. As we discussed in the past, it's a join between two star schema. Yeah, this is what star join is all about. This much is enough for an ABAPer to know, to be able to work with SAP HANA. Okay, so this much if you know, very good for you in interview. These are all the 8 types of joins we have. Now I missed out one of the one important one, referential join. I have seen 8 to 10 year of experience trainers unable to tell difference between referential join and inner join. This is one very often question I ask in interview, and if somebody answer this question, actually I give him lots of points and increase his chances to getting selected for my interview. This is one question I bet always upon. If the student has a very good knowledge about, at least they're able to tell difference between these two, then I consider that to be an expert. I consider that guy to be an expert, guys. This is one question which I always ask in my interview. Whenever I take an interview on ABAP on HANA or SAP HANA, I always ask this question: difference between referential join and inner join. Can anybody tell me what is it? Anybody? It's related to data type, considering joining two fields? No, it has nothing to do with data types actually. Nothing to do with that. Any other guess? Anybody? If you Google also, na, you will not understand it so easily. It's little tricky, but maintain referential integrity. Partially correct. Referential join is related to foreign key. All joins are related to foreign key, guys. Majority of them. Inner join is also related to foreign key. Okay. Inner join also you can't apply just like that. You have to have two common fields holding common data. That's what exactly the foreign key relationship is. Okay. You can apply both joins on either foreign key is there or not there, doesn't matter. Now, let me tell you the difference. What will you say in interview? No, that also incorrect answer. It can be any number of fields. Like in our case, we are joining client field and the other columns that will work beautifully for both the types of joins. Okay. Now, let's exactly, yes, Satyajit has got it right, but may not be able to understand quickly. So let me explain you what is referential join. What should you say in interview? It is a smart inner join. It's a smart in that's my definition, guys, which I derived out of it. It's a smart inner join. The selection of data on table or view determine the behavior of the join. That's called my referential join. The selection of data determines whether join is evaluated or not evaluated. Let me take an example. Very good example. So this is a very tricky interview question indeed, and majority, believe me, till today, out of 52 people I interviewed, only one person was able to answer this, and this person working in my project now with me. Only one person out of 52 people. People try to give bullshit in interview, and I strongly reject any kind of such shit in interview. Don't give bullshit in interview. It will reduce your point. Selection छोड़ो कुछ भी नहीं मिलेगा. It will reduce your image. Don't try to make answers. Try to give answers. Don't try to make answers. Interviewer sitting there is smarter than you. I get call from student. Anubhav sir, what an amazing interview, Anubhav sir. 20 question he asked, I told 18 question answer. Everything fantastic, Anubhav sir. Everything went so well. I was knowing everything. After 3 days, if I ask his status, sir, selection nahi hua, sir. Nahi hua, sir, selection. Do you know the reason? Weakness is in you. Nobody can find weakness of yours better than yourself. Anubhav also, I can only judge you for short time, but I will never know your weaknesses. What is your weakness? You know your weakness better. So work on them. Work on them, guys. Everybody has weakness. I also have weakness. I'm a very slow learner. That's my weakness. But I also have a strength. So I always work on my weakness and try to bring that weakness into the area of strength. It will not happen in a day. But don't lie to yourself and others. In interview, if you lie, you die. No matter what, howsoever interview went good, you will not get selected if you lie in interview. If you try to make answers, that's why I say don't make answers. And sometimes I get so frustrated. I also tell the candidate ki I'm not going to select you. You need to rework and come back. I am not going to select you. I clearly tell interview the candidate on his face or her face, because I get so frustrated with answers. They try to make answers. Don't try to make answer. This is one thing which interviewer, none of the interviewer will like. If you are also an interviewer, you will not like it. I'm actually trying to prepare you for interview, guys, together with the course. What to do and not to do. So never try to make answers. If you don't know, say, sir, I don't know. That's it. And don't try to phrase in your style of phrasing. Some people, they try to phrase answer. They know things very good. That's good. They know things, but they try to phrase in their own language. That will also not work out. You have to be precise. See how much concise and precise you can be. One golden rule of cracking an interview: how you can be precise and concise. Concise means when I ask something, a big story comes up. Who is there? Who has time to listen to your big stories? Come on, man. Nobody has that. How can you be so much concise and how much precise you are? That's the game. That's what I like as an interviewer. If a person, I ask a question, I get a precise and concise answer, I just move on to the next question. Nothing else I want from him. It clearly certifies that person. He understood my question. He gave me the right answer. I'm satisfied with it. I will try to probably dig in and ask more questions, and that's it. Interview's done. He's selected. Even though he's not selected due to any other reasons, maybe he will find a better place in a better company. Yeah. From my side, he's champion. From my side, he's selected. He's through with the round. Now, my manager or somebody else taking the second round he may not fit into their expectations. But at least my expectation, he goes through. And wherever he will go in the world, he will do it well because he has that asset. He has done hard work. He knows the things. Referential join, inner join. Let's take an example and understand that. Let's imagine a table, and this is order scheduling table. This has delivery information about orders with the dates. So there is an order ID and there is a date on which the order will be shipped. So there is an order ID 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 probably, and then there is a shipping date for the order. This order will be shipped on 1/1/2018, or let's say 19. This will be shipped on 1/1/2019. This will be shipped on 1/3/2019. This will be shipped on 1/3/2019. This will be shipped on 1/4/2019. That's my shipping date of a particular order. And now I have another table where I have shipping partners, guys, who are going to ship the products for me. So I have a shipping partner, and on what date their plane is going to fly. So suppose I'm an international seller, and I sell products across the globe. Now, do you think daily there is a flight from Delhi to Frankfurt from all airlines? Do you think there is daily a flight from all airlines from Delhi to Frankfurt? No, no, they will not even get that much passengers. So what happens here in these cargo companies like FedEx? They have a plane. So there is a plane on FedEx which is there on 1/1/2019. There is a plane which is planned on this. There's a plane on DHFL, which is there for 1/2/2019. Then there is another plane from, let's say, First Flight courier company. Okay, and they have a plane on 1/4/2019. So, do you see an order in my table which has a risk of not getting delivered or not getting shipped on a particular date by looking at this data? Do you see a risk of an order not getting shipped? Yes, you see 3 and 4. There is no flight on that day. And now let's imagine, guys, I joined these two tables. I created a view. Okay. Can anybody tell me what type of join I used to create this view? I used a referential join. Okay. I used a referential join, REFER. Okay, referential join, I used it to join the dates. Clear? Is this clear till here, the scenario, guys? What are we doing? Joining between two tables and what the table has. Now watch out. There is a report program I write in ABAP, and I'll say select. Now this becomes a view. This whole thing becomes a view, and I say select order ID from view, which has a referential join between these tables. What do you think will be output of this query? Anybody? What do you think will be output of this query? Anybody? Anybody? What do you think will be output of this query? If it's an inner join, do you know the output of this? Can anybody guess at least inner join? If it is, it will be 1, 2, and 5. It's a referential join. Do you know the output? It will be 1, 2 3 4 5। क्या हुआ ये क्या हो गया? कैसे हो गया? ये कैसे हुआ? कैसे हो गया ये? All guys, what do you make out of it? Now I'm telling you the output clearly. What do you think you can make out of it? What happened behind the scene? What happened behind the scene? Anybody? What do you think happened behind the scene? No. If there is a referential join and select query doesn't select data from another table, okay, select query doesn't select the data from another table with which the join is being done, okay, the join will be pruned. This is what the word that they use. Join will be pruned, guys. Okay, join will be pruned. What does the meaning of this English word prune, guys? It means ignore, discarded, okay, abandoned, forbidden. Okay, that's the meaning of this word. Yeah, discarded. This join will not at all be considered. So it is just like selecting order table. You see the date column they've joined. Did I select any column from next table? Did I select in my select query any column from my next table with which the join is being done? Did I select any column in this query from my partner table? Anybody? Do you see my query? Did I selected any column from partner courier partner table here? No. What will happen? This join is discarded. System won't even consider that there is a join of this kind. As a result, it produces 1 2 3 4 5. However, if this would have been an inner join, irrespective of whether you select or don't select, join is always evaluated. Always evaluated. It always check there is a corresponding record in second table. Always checks it. But if the join is referential join and I don't select data from partner table, system won't even consider this join. Join will be pruned, guys. This should be your answer. Pruned. Pruned means discarded, not considered, ignored. Yeah. Now watch out. Second query. Select order ID partner from view. What do you think will be the output in case of referential join and inner join? Anybody who will tell me the output? If you understood this concept, you will tell. 1 2 5, and of course you're selecting also FedEx, DHFL, and also your this guy here, what do you call, first flight. And then here as well, same output. The join gets performed, guys. Join between these two columns gets performed. It only fetches now matching records from the table. Is that clear, everyone? What is the difference between referential join and inner join? Is this clear? Will you be able to tell it in interview, guys? Will you be able to tell it in interview this thing? There is nothing called left inner join. There is something called referential join and inner join. Don't confuse. There is nothing called left inner join. It's only the left outer join, right outer join, which we discussed, and only the referential join and inner join. It's a smart inner join. It's a join which is smart, which gets performed when you select the columns from table. Sometimes it could be confusing to work with such a join because output will change according to your select query, and you will wonder कि यार ये क्या हो रहा है, कभी मैं ये कर रहा हूं तो ये आउटपुट आ रहा है ये. So that's the reason it is not recommended to use such a referential join. You know the concept now, so if you need such a concept, you can use it. Clear everybody, difference between referential join, inner join. If you are coming for an interview, I will ask you this question clearly, and your definition should be precise and concise. This should be your definition of referential join. This should be your definition for referential join. तुम्हारे हाना ट्रेनर ने नहीं पढ़ाया होगा ये, ओपन बोलता हूं मैं. Your HANA trainer. And if you meet a modeling guy in your company who is doing modeling, okay, in your company, a database expert who seems called to be an expert in your team of HANA modeling, ask this question to him. Let's test his knowledge. How much knowledge that guy has. You can test it now with this question. Okay. So referential join behaves differently in different cases based on your select query. Perfect answer. Perfect answer. Based on your select query, it behaves. If you just select the second table, okay, if you just select now second table only, it is going to give you all records. It's not going to perform the join at all, because here your join at all is not required, because second table column you didn't even select it. There's no join required. Database won't evaluate such a join. Let's come back to our model. And now this join is right now, it's going to be not a referential, no, neither inner. It should be a text join because we're joining a text table. And we put the language field here, the language field, and I click on OK. And that's my join defined. And now I will add columns to the output. So I add node key to output. I add product ID. I add the category of the product. I add probably the price of the product and the currency code. And then probably I add the text of the product. So these columns I'm adding into the output, guys. Okay. And I'm marking the node key as the primary key. So just come down. That's important point. As I told you, mandatory to mark at least one key. So you see key here is what am I marking as a primary key, true. Press enter, click on save. Okay. Now guys, this is just a virtual table. It's a view. Remember, we are not creating a DB table here. It's a virtual table. It's a view, guys. Okay. In a DB, it's a view. Now I save this, and you can go to semantics and see all the fields over here. If you want to give a label to the fields, you can actually change them here. That's something you can do that pretty easily. And now time, will this view be able to show me data now? Can I see the data, guys? Will it be possible to see the data? Anybody? No, because you have not yet activated it. Okay, let's do a preview, and you see it gives me an error. It's an inactive object. Activate else redeploy. Yeah, so let's activate it. So let's come back down to our package, expand it, right click, and just activate, and say activate. And you see below the activation is completed. Amazing server, guys. I love this server. I have tried many Hyderabad servers. None of them work so beautifully the way this server works. That's why I chose this server finally, and recommended every of my student to use this server. Much better in terms of cost, just 2500 per month per user. Very attractive cost. If you go for cal based server, you don't get such powers. With cal server, it's running on ABAP on HANA completely, S4 HANA capabilities embedded inside, 1610 S4 HANA, all the tables, all the sample data also we have, all our programs also we have it, a perfect set which we would need. The major problem in my training, I always feel, is infrastructure. So my experience of as a trainer, I'm saying majority of the times I feel a lack of infrastructure. It stops me doing couple of things, but somehow God helps me always, and it sends me some options so that I can work with things. This is one good option which we have got. Yes, you can connect it with web IDE. So if you're doing with Fiori, you can connect to this server from your local computer with web IDE. Indeed, it's completely possible. In fact, just to showcase you, just since you asked this question, we had created a complete POC on this server using local web IDE, connecting to this server from local web IDE, and complete POC we created. And that POC source code also available free of cost for all of you. You all can download. I'll show you it in a minute. The complete Fiori application. So I go to my local web IDE quickly. That's my local web IDE. I connect to this, and I just show you in a minute the running Fury application on this server. So this is my local system. From my local system, I'm able to connect to this S4 HANA server where I have completely my DB tables, my complete ABAP code, my OData services, everything I do have it. And now I can just show you this application which I created, a complete end-to-end pizza application, pizza delivery application for one of the company called Best in Pizzas, and now it's asking me credentials. Just provide that, and you can see that's a real data from the server. Okay, so that's my local web IDE. It's connected, and I got the data now from this output. Yeah, that's the beauty, guys. And if you want to learn how did I build it from scratch, you may be like just an ABAPer, you don't know anything, guys. If you want to learn this, it's freely available on my website. Anubhav Learning Series, guys, started it only for my students, those who have taken the training. Sometimes I feel so bad that my student ask me some question and I cannot cover due to time in my course. For that, I've started Anubhav Learning Series, an amazing series, free videos, free content, completely downloadable. Entire material is downloadable. You all can download and practice, starting with the database table, how to start and create DB table in ABAP system in S4, creating a OData service, understanding dollar batch calls and testing OData services, creating end-to-end Fury application using that OData service. What is the difference between WebID and Eclipse? This was one of the question my student asked. I created a video how to deploy final created Fury application in Fury Launchpad. Free learning series, guys. There's lot more to come in this series only for you guys. Only for you. You can download complete source code from here, and the same server which we are using here, S4 server, it has all the DB tables, it has entire logic for OData, it has everything, complete end-to-end POC. I built it only for you, and complete source code available on internet. Click on that download button, it will be taking you to the drive. You can download the source code, put it in your web ID and just run it. Done. You can run the complete POC. This Best in Pizza application, guys, all is free, available for the community. This is my commitment to the community, to the YouTube community, to the followers, to the subscribers of my channel, those who follows me. Some people financially weak, not able to spend time and money on the training. I am there for them to support them, making them understand things, probably not from very scratch, from very basic. That's where my training comes into picture, but at least you can go ahead and access this. How long we have access? Lifetime. Lifetime. This is free. It's my website, onlinefurytrainings.com. Go to Anubhav Learning Series. It's free. You can download it anytime whenever you like, and they're all YouTube videos, guys. You can also directly go and open them in YouTube, and you can download anyways YouTube videos. You all know, you can download and keep it with you for lifetime. Okay, that's what I've started recently by receiving feedbacks from my Fury students. Of course, for ABAP and HANA students, sometimes some topic which you would guys need, you'd see, Anubhav, I want to know that also, and I can't cover that in the course. I'm going to create a YouTube video for that. Okay, and it's a lifetime relationship with me, you and me, lifetime relationship. I'm not going to leave you now for lifetime. I'm there with you. If there is any question in your mind, even after the course is completed, just do send it to me. If I don't have time, I'm going to create a YouTube video and I'm going to post that in Anubhav Learning Series. Many of the people were asking me, Anubhav, about what is HANA CDS. I created a YouTube video, and that video will be coming soon in Anubhav Learning Series here as well. I will put that. So this was one question which was asked to me by my students in my previous ABAP on HANA batch. One of the student was in need of that to understand HANA CDS. I created a YouTube video for that. Okay, so your feedbacks, your complaints are not ignored. I personally feel your complaints, your feedback, they all gives me the kick to get going. Your problem is my problem, but please understand, I have a limited time to create videos. I have a very limited time to do things. So try to see if you can minimize the number of doubts you're sending it to me. Can you do little bit of Google, put your effort before sending doubt to me directly? Just try to see, guys. That will help me big time, and I will be able to generate more values for all of you. So that's just one humble request. Don't shoot up emails until unless it's really necessary, because every single email I get, it's a cost. It's a cost on my time. Okay. And when it's a cost on my time, that time has to compromise somewhere else. Okay. So that's the reason last month I was unable to deliver a single video on learning series except HANA CDS, because so many queries, and many of them unnecessary, which could have easily been solved by doing just a small Google. एक बार कोशिश करके तो देखो सर, तबीयत से एक पत्थर उछाल के तो देखो. Okay, now let's move on and come back here, and that's my join, and we created this model. Seems to be fine and activated as well. It got activated, and now see guys, what did I tell you? When you activate, what happens behind the scenes? Anybody, what do you think what happens behind the scenes when you activate something? Anyone? A SQL view gets created. Perfect answer. So let's go to semantics, go to view properties, and you see there's a SQL view we got created in six big schema. And this is the package name I was talking, you remember? Ritu, I was telling you that you can create a view with AT product. It will get created in your package, and your package name becomes the prefix. Hence, it's possible to create a view with same name AT product in your package, because package becomes the namespace. It adds as a name before the view name. Clear, everybody, what exactly is happening here? Which means SAP can ship me a view with some name. I can create my own view in my package with same name. That's the beauty of SAP HANA. Okay, let's run and test it. Okay, cool. You can also fire a select query directly on this guy. So maybe I can just come back on the top, yeah, and just click on this SQL, and I can say select star from this view. And remember the columns which you selected, all those columns are going to come up. So you selected only few columns, and these columns are coming. Oops, I see a problem. Our texts are not coming. I think there's a problem in our join which I've done. So let me just come back and correct that. So it should not be a join between these two. That's incorrect. It should be a join between description GUID and the parent key. That's the right join between these tables. Let me reactivate this. So can just come back and reactivate this change, not a big problem. And the necessary SQL statement gets generated when you execute behind the scenes. And I say, oops, I got to save this first. Yeah, right click and activate. So be careful when you are choosing your columns for the join. Important. Yeah, that's something you got to also, of course, take care of. And now once done, let's go back to SQL again and execute the query again. And voila, you see now your product texts are also coming from the text table due to text join. Based on your current login language inside of SAP HANA, it's going to pick up the text in that login language automatically, because join type is text join. With that, we complete with our first dimension. Let's create another dimension. So I'm going to come here and create another new view, and this dimension I call it as customers. So I call it as attribute view customers, and just an attribute view once again. Any reason why it saves always in six big schema? Yes, it's always default storage for all the information model of your schema, because you want to control the authorizations centrally. Okay, you want to control the authorizations centrally. That's the reason it stores into the sysbig schema, which is a default schema for all the modeling content of SAP HANA system. Okay, now coming back, this is going to be business partner. So let me just this time select business partner table, BPA table. BPA कहाँ गया ढूंढो. Let's come above, and here it is. So let's drag and drop. Perfect. And now I can also take the BP address table, SNWD address, BP address. I'm not sure if we do have some data in that, but I can give a try. If we don't have data, I'm going to remove that table. So let me see BP address, SNWD addresses. It should be actually should be above. Yeah, I think this is the one. I'm not sure if it's correct. Let me just take it anyways. and I'll just join, and then you have an address GUID connecting to the node key of this table. I'll come to your question, just give me a minute. You can right now park your questions, guys. Let me just check this one, and this time I'm using referential join, and I can just say okay, and now I'll just choose the column. So I say node key I want city from where this business partner exists, the country from where this guy is coming from, and then I can just choose company name, business partner ID, and that's it. I want for the system, and then I can save this and make the node key as the key property here. And if you try to activate without making key, it will give you an error. You can try that, guys, later on. And now I can just activate my information model for customer, and there it is. I can right click and just activate. Let's go to the system and just do a quick test of this. So I'm not sure if the address data is there, guys. I'm not sure that, but once you run this, we will get to know actually. Okay. Now let me take the question. So in attribute view, number of tables for joining, I think the count is I don't exactly remember how many tables we can put in attribute view. I think it's 20, but I'm not sure. I never tried that. Putting so many tables, usually we just put maximum 4 to 5 tables. That's it. We don't put much. Can join from different schemas also? Yes, it's possible to bring in the tables from different schemas and join them together. It's possible. Yeah. Now, uh, can we store the view in a different package, a different schema? No, you cannot. By default, when you activate, it always creates in sysbig schema. Now, for that reason, we have SAP HANA CDS views, which are when you create them, they gets created in the native schema, the schema in which you want to use them, okay, or you want to store them. That's why we have CDS view. That's one advantage of HANA CDS over these information models. Okay, so let's go and do a data preview of this guy, and hopefully it should have some data. No, it doesn't have. Address table doesn't have, so this join is a problem. So maybe I'll remove this at the moment, and I'm going to update the address data by in next couple of days, guys. So don't worry about that. Let me just right now just activate this guy itself. Node key company name in BPID. I'm just going to update that, and let me just reactivate this customers view. And you're just going to get now the data preview, and there you go. You can see the data coming out. Since there's no data in address table, that's where we have a problem. Okay, so no join now. I removed the table, another table. It's just one table with 3 columns getting selected. Now time to go and build a fact table, a fact view and analytical view with sales data. So let's do that quickly. So I just now create a analytical view. So I choose an analytical view and I say analytical view sales fact. Okay, and just use analytical view. Now remember, guys, when you create an analytical view inside of SAP HANA, just like here, the mandatory thing was to give a key. In analytical view, you must have to give one measure. Like I showed you, it's important when you create fact. When you use facts, you have to talk about KPIs and measures. So in analytical view, it's mandatory to mark one of the property as measure. Clear, everybody? Very, very important. Analytical view, again, you can see the name analytical view. It's used for purpose of analytics, and join the fact with dimensions. Clear, everyone? So let's go ahead and do that. So now I'm just going to go back. First, I'm going to bring my analytical tables, fact tables here. So order item and order table, let's get in. So I'm just going to get my order and order item table. So sales order table, let's get that. And sales order item table, let's get that. And now join first the order and order item. So I will say in my sales order node key, should match with the parent key and this client, and then it's a one to n relationship. It's an inner join, and it's a one to n relationship. Okay, that's my join. And now let me add sales order ID in the output. I will add the gross amount in the output, net amount, tax amount, and I want to now put also some columns from here: item position, product GUID, and I say buyer GUID who bought this sales order. That's all I need. Save this, and you see, when I click on save button, it gives me an error. Measure cannot be identified. Please specify the central table or a measure. Okay, that's the error which is giving me. However, this is something we will fix. So let's go to star join now, and we're going to join now um, our dimensions over here. So let me drag and drop our attribute views here now. So I go back to our dimensions which we created by far. I drag and drop my attribute view for customer, and another dimension was product. I'm just going to join this with a fact. So first is this buyer GUID goes and connect to the node key, and this product GUID goes and connect to the product node key. And now I am going to mark these three columns as my measures because they are numeric columns, guys: gross amount, net amount, and tax amount. That has to be categorized as a measure. Very, very important. So let's go back on the top, and now you see here you can mark the measures and the attributes. So I can select everything, or I can just choose one by one. You can say this is an attribute. Gross is it's actually numeric column which has to be marked as a measure. And now tax amount and attribute view. I save this. Okay. So I save this everything, and let me just activate this now. So this is our analytical view and everything goes fine. Plain vanilla case. Then just do a activation. So right click. Sorry, no activity yet. First let's activate. And this also produces a database view. Activated successfully, guys. You can go to view properties, and you see this is also producing a database view on activation inside the Syspic. Let's do a data preview, raw data, and voila. See, guys, my sales data combined with dimensions, products, and this. And now, guys, look at some real-time scenario. Let's go back to the case. What we wanted to find: KPIs. How many products were sold in a category, right? This was you needed, right? Right? Don't you need this? Yes. Which product? How many products? Let's come back. I'll show you magic. Go to analysis, drag and drop the product category on label axis, and drag and drop the product or the order ID in value. And you see analytics inside of HANA Studio. See, it tells you clearly there are 4,800 orders for computer system category product. Can you tell me which is the category having highest number of sales orders? By looking at this analytical chart, which category of product has highest number of sales orders? Anybody? Anybody? By looking at this data, computer systems. Which is the least selling product, least order category? Anybody? Which thing is selling the least in my company and out of all the product ranges? Anybody? Printers. Multifunction printers selling the least, guys. Clear, guys? First question is answered. How many products in a category are sold? Which is the highest selling laptop or probably a product? Highest selling product by its value. Okay. Which is the highest selling product by its value? Can remove these. Now you can just drag and drop the product text, and you can drag and drop the gross amount here and see. This is by its value and products. These are all the products, and these are all the total sales value, gross of total sum. That's the sales value. Can anybody tell me which is the most sold product, highest selling product, this is the one. What is it? Whatever it is, when I hover, it will also tell me what product it is. So when I'm hovering my mouse, it's something like DDR or something. Yeah, that's the product which is highest selling product. It has the maximum revenue generated for my company. And then next one is this one guy. And you can also switch the chart types to a pie chart and see the beauty, guys. That's the beauty of SAP HANA. You can also go to unique values, distinct values, that will also tell you kind of percentages. So maybe you just put how many distinct values of category I have. You can see 16.3% computer systems I have in the system. These many orders are there, 4,800 orders on this particular product, which we saw in the another view itself. Yeah, that's the analytics you can do when you join the dimension with the fact. Maja aaya ki nahi aaya? Was it fun or not fun, today's class? With that we wrap. Did you like it or not? Fun? Okay, time for funny questions. Okay, time for funny questions, guys. Go ahead, please. All yours.
Anup, just I mean, like one question. So, how have you ever used refresher join? I mean, like, have you tried any way implementing? I mean,
Yes, we did actually the same example, which I told you. This is one example where I used it in one of the company, one of the project, where they actually wanted to get different flavor of data based on select queries, and they did not wanted to create two views. They wanted to create one view, but that view should behave differently different times. And that's the reason I used referential join. The same example where I was working with a cargo company which was doing shipping of products via their so this company is basically a mediator who takes the product from multinational brands, and then these products are getting shipped overseas via different courier partners. And then we had a problem that courier partners doesn't have a flight on a particular date, and then we got to probably write a referential join and then determine ki kitna order hai. Sometimes we want to find the orders, sometimes you just want to find relationship between order and the shipping partner. So in that case, I had indeed used referential join in that same case. Same example, I got it here. This example you'll not find on internet. This is what practically I used in one of the companies, so that's the reason I had it. Okay.
but I mean, like, if you use inner join over here, and if
Inner
there are
join, if you
no,
use, then it will always produce. It will always
not
produce.
inner join, referral join.
Hmm.
So, like, if you don't find any orders on a particular date, then you are getting all the orders, right? All the 1 to 5 orders. If you don't find any date, I mean, particular date for an order. For
Yeah, that's
example,
what their
3 and 4.
requirement was. They were saying, write me an ABAP report on a view, and this should be one view. It should be only one view, and one ALV table should give me all the orders. Another ALV table should give me order and the planned courier partner. So would you create two views for that, or just create two UI ALV? One which is using first select query, where you get all the order, join will be pruned, and another select query on same view where join will not be pruned, and pump in this data to the ALVs. Make sense? Or would you go ahead and create two views for these two different outputs? Right? Make sense? Doesn't make sense?
Uh, Actually, I'm thinking about. Okay.
Okay. Okay. If not make sense, then let me show you quickly. So there is a screen they wanted, and they were saying the first ALV on the UI should give me list of all the orders, irrespective of whether they are getting shipped or not getting shipped. All orders. Okay. And then there's a second one which I would need, where you should give me the orders and in relation to their shipping partner, who is going to ship this order for me. These two ALVs they needed. Now what would somebody would do? They would create one view for getting the orders and another view for getting this relation, right? Or somebody would say fire a query on the DB table directly to get orders, and another query would probably fire a join with a view. Yeah. So this is what you would typically do, right? Now what I say is, don't do that. Just create a view and use a referential join. Just write two queries on same view. One which just select the order data from first table order table, and another where you select also the data for shipping partner. Same view will behave differently based on select query and pump this data to the ALV, and that's pretty reusable, yeah, with a referential join. Makes sense now? Doesn't make sense with using
Okay.
graphically?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just a second question. I mean, like you showed us the analytical part. So how do you use this charts? I mean, like we will use this models as a proxy, a web proxy. So how you use this charts when you to the customer? I mean, customer will not come this HANA
Right.
studio, right?
That's your Fiori knowledge. Fiori सीखना पड़ेगा sir.
Oh, okay, okay, fine. Ah, okay,
Okay.
fine. Fine.
I'll show you how to expose this data to ABAP. That's my duty. उसके बाद में then from ABAP you expose it to OData service and OData to a Fiori app, and that Fiori app displays some data, and that उसके लिए there's a YouTube video plan in learning series. Okay. But yet we will
Okay,
still see some analytical Fiori application creation in our course, which is part of S4 HANA. Towards the end of the course, we'll build an analytical app. Again, very good question. This is only for developer to view the data. How will analytics will look like when this is coming? So you can validate when user creates, when your code developer, Fiori developer creates a UI. Now you can come and validate this chart should match with what they are displaying on the UI. Yeah, that's something which just to quickly look at the output and see and compare. Yes, we will see that, guys. Still there is a far way, we are still far away to do that. We are going to go to the system and we will see how can we expose this view to an ABAP system. So we created this view into HANA. We're going to consume this in ABAP system, and then in ABAP, from ABAP we will see different ways to consuming it. So there is two techniques. One is view proxy, straightforward, and there's another way called ADBC. I'm going to show you both. We can also consume this view inside a SQL script inside of SAP HANA. I'm going to show you all that. That's a future story. We just created the view. So till now, just understand this part. Okay. Try to replicate same scenario in your HANA system with these database tables. That's an exercise for today. And in next class, we'll look at calculation views. Also important factor about currency conversion. This is one point I will also demo you guys. How can you do currency conversion within HANA? And then we will build our open item analysis scenario for Mr. James using these views. Okay, using these views we will build that, and that we will finally consume in ABAP for Mr. James and show Mr. James the data. And we'll also try to see how much performance improvement did we got by pushing down this logic to HANA. Now you're working core with HANA core, guys. You are at DB level. Okay, great. With that, it's a wrap on today's class. See you next week and have a nice day and goodbye. See you tomorrow.